Discovery learning is often referred to a UWI lesson, where students are first discovering on their own. So instead of a typical direct instruction where the teacher's presenting everything, students are then practicing and then working on their own. In this format, students are actually taking that learning on firsthand. So you're saying to do what with these numbers?
To divide.
To divide, okay. What makes you think divide those numbers?
Because I tried multiplying.
Okay, and what happened?
And I didn't really get a whole number. I kind of got a half, and you can't really have half.
I can't have half a kid that does this homework. That would not be great, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so keep thinking about it. With this particular lesson, students were not given the instruction or the algorithm to solve. Instead, they are taking those tools, taking any ideas that they had, they're creating the number sense with their learning. A discovery lesson is really ideal for all learners. When you look at math in general, students sometimes have this idea of a math answer is either right or wrong, and right is good and wrong is bad. With a discovery lesson, the pressure of right or wrong really goes away. They're all discovering it at the same time. They have their partners, so they have someone to bounce ideas off of. That pressure of answering in front of the whole class is taken away. Learners are celebrated for thinking in different ways, using different tools, really taking that courageous step of trying new things and not being afraid of that.
I want you to look at things that you have. How could you compare them?
How could you make something?
Like, look at these things. What could you compare with those? Discovery learning is where the kids get to dive in and do it all by themselves. They explore, they ask questions, they do the thinking, they kind of find what they're learning without being told.
Circle of them. Yeah. So it looks like it's different. This one's smaller, this one's bigger. Yeah. This one has the dots and that one has the numbers.
Yeah, and it's like smaller and bigger. It's two things.
It's definitely more engaging because they're not told what to do, so they kind of have to figure it out. And if they're not engaged in the process, they're not going to find the answer. So it definitely keeps them wanting to solve that problem. And then when they figure it out, it makes it a lot more exciting. And I think it almost makes it stick more.
We did like math and we were measuring. I started thinking about we can measure with the pencil because it's long, like a ruler.
I think that's what's kind of the best part of kindergarten, is they're all so curious, and that so much learning can be done through play and hands-on activities and experiences that it just makes it that much better. It makes you feel like you're doing a good job. You feel proud of them, especially when they feel proud of themselves, because you see the joy in their face. They'll say, I got it, or they'll start to teach their friends, or it's just a moment that really you can't explain.
I think that discovery learning is beneficial in so many ways because math is such a broad subject, and there's so many different ways and different strategies that students use to figure out the answer. And the discovery learning practice, it really allows them to speak what they're thinking. And I think with math, it really allows the students to interact with each other and just tell each other what they're thinking, and there's different ways to find the answer. So it just gives them the opportunity to explore different ways and to hear their peers also talk about different ways to find the answers. Aaron walked 2 more laps than Amy. So did Aaron do 4 laps at least?
Yes.
Think about it. Piper, why do you say yes?
It says
More. So she at least did 4 laps, right? Okay, I want you to get your marker and I want you to shade in at least 4 for Amy. Our curriculum that we use here in Friendswood allows for multiple opportunities to use the discovery practice in our math lessons. For this particular lesson, I got to sit down with our math coach and we got to plan out all the different things that we wanted to do for this lesson. It is the best thing as a teacher, seeing students, like seeing that light bulb click whenever they finally understand something, and it's just they can explain it, they can show you how they got the answer, they feel confident in it, and that's the best feeling as a teacher.
How could you count this one, Wyatt?
3 times 5.
Okay, so Wyatt did 3 down, 5 across. Good. Discovery learning is using manipulatives, having them discover it before actually teaching it. Having them discover, kind of wonder and like think like, what is that? And make the connections themselves before actually teaching them it. I think it helps them use manipulatives and actually engage in the learning and be involved in it and kind of think for themselves before me telling them. So I had them kind of explore of like, oh, this is kind of like multiplication. This kind of looks like an array. And you're like, actually, that's area. Like we're doing it. It is an array. It looks like it, but it's just we're using a little bit of a different term.
4 by.
You know what we just did?
4, 5.
85.
6.
Yes.
So here. All right, 6 by 7.
This kind of intrigued them a little bit about area, whereas if you would have just taught it without it, they would just be like, oh, it's just another thing we've learned. But now they're like, oh, this is like an array, and they're like making those connections, which I don't think they would have if you just taught it with nothing fun.
So Miss Keith, it wasn't like a worksheet, you were just doing it on like a whiteboard, and we just talked about it after, and I just had a lot of freedom.
Kids can see it, wonder about it, and then build the foundation on it. So you see, you kind of wonder. I mean, even as adults, we like wonder about things, and then we're like, actually, let me look into that. And so I feel like it's kind of like for them, they wonder about it, they see it, and they're like, actually, I want to learn more about it. So I think it kind of sparks their interest more on it.